Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Gaming Mix podcast, your official podcast from analogstickgaming.com. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jordan, one of the co-owners. And of course, to my right, as always, we have the founder himself, Jeff. How are you doing, Jeff?
Not too bad. It's cold, and it is cold.
Fair. I mean, you are in Canada and it is winter, so I assume that's quite normal for this time of year over there.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
That's fair. Absolutely fair. And of course, today we have lots of news to talk about. You would have seen in the episode headline that we are going to be discussing the Xbox Developer Direct because they showed some very good things in that show. So we'll get to that later on. But before we get to that, we're going to return to some wrestling talk, which we haven't done for a little while because if you're a wrestling fan and more particularly a WWE fan, you will know that the Royal Rumble is coming up very soon. And at time of recording, Saturday night's main event, or the latest Saturday night's main event, just happened last night. So, Jeff, let's dive into some wrestling, shall we?
Yeah, like the Saturday Night main event was okay. I think the tag match with Rhea Ripley and Io was probably one of the better spots of it. The main event, they telegraphed Sammy winning that thing for the past week.
Yeah.
Like every single segment for this past week was about Sammy.
Yes.
And so yeah, like they absolutely telegraphed that to the point where there was no surprise that they were going to have Sammy win in Montreal. And I mean, if they have Sammy win in Saudi Arabia, then we know that this whole thing has been fixed. I mean, wrestling is fixed, obviously, but I mean fixed to a point where they're just appeasing the crowds more so than the actual like what the storylines should be. Like, I'm just not a fan of Sammy. His stick is getting incredibly old. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Sammy, but I think that his character needs a bit of a refresh at this point. I think that he's proven he can do brilliant work. And, you know, I think back to that match with him and Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber those couple of years ago now. And I actually think at the time there was a strong case to be made that maybe he should have won that match because he's never felt like he's been quite as popular as that, you know? He's never reached that same height again since. And I think that is because, as you're saying, his stick is just getting a little bit old now. Like, it needs a refresh of some sort. And I hope that whether he wins or not, and I don't think he's going to win, just to be clear, I think that they need to use this story as a way to reset his character almost and give him a new lease on life with the character and change his character in some way. Maybe, you know, maybe Drew beats him up so badly that he disappears for a while and then he actually comes back with a slightly different character. That would be quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like the match at the end was not terribly great. Also having Drew not get kind of like the final hit and then back off and stuff was, I think, not good for Drew's character there. I don't think it really did anything for Sammy.
Yeah.
I mean, we had AJ versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm not a Nakamura fan, so I didn't really care about the match. I mean, obviously, AJ had to win. It would have been stupid for him to lose. I mean, he's going in against Gunther, and you don't want him losing his penultimate match.
What I thought was interesting about this, though, is we know this is AJ's last year. He's made that very clear that after this year he will be retiring.
Yeah, I don't think he's losing at the Rumble though. I think it's too early.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing though, and why he could lose at the Rumble is that his contract is up next month.
Oh.
So unless he signs an extension, like an extension, uh,
Yeah.
then he is looking at the Rumble. Um, so that's the one thing is that his contract ends in February.
Yeah.
Um, so he could very well lose to Gunther.
Yeah.
However, I think if he does lose, I think what happens is the ref gets knocked out. He puts him in his submission, and Gunther like taps, like just taps. He's just going, whatever. And then a ref comes in, he does something, whatever, and then he gets the win. And then like essentially everyone kind of won in that match, in a way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I really like AJ. I know that some people are not always fans of his character work, but I think ultimately AJ is one of the best where it matters most, which is in the ring.
his stuff with Dom was funny, like the him like being a janitor or whatever, and then like praying to God and all that kind of stuff. Like that stuff was kind of funny. Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of AJ. But I think like over the past little while, I've been slowly kind of drifting towards him. It's the same thing as like when I got back into wrestling. I was like, I don't like this LA Knight guy. Like he's fucking stupid. And now I'm like, LA Knight's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a while, right? Because you have
yeah.
to kind of grow to like these characters.
And like I'm a huge fan of Damien, but he got done so dirty that match. Like he almost could have not have been in it, and it wouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah.
Like Damien was fighting hurt pretty much all last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I like Damien. I've always said I want him to be like the evil Ted DiBiase and just be like the guy in the suit.
Evil. That's a great way of evil Ted DiBiase.
Well, like when I first saw Damian Priest ever, he was wearing like a fancy white suit or whatever.
Yes.
And it was like, yeah, that's a cool look. I really like that look and stuff. And then he started doing the Judgment Day stuff and dressing in black and going all stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if that really fits what I want out of the character, but I still like Damien. I still am a huge fan of his.
Yes.
The other match, what was the match that opened it? It was
Cody and Jacob Fatu.
yeah, and they like I'm not surprised it went that way because I don't think the WWE is ready to answer that question.
Yeah.
Because you can't have Cody lose right now and bringing Jacob in and being this dominant force. You don't want him to lose either.
Yeah.
So I think it had to go that way. But
Yeah.
like we'll see what happens at the Rumble because right now there hasn't been really too many matches announced for the Rumble. Like I know we have Gunther and AJ. We have the Women's Rumble.
Yes.
We have the Men's Rumble. And then we have what else? What else do we have?
I think right now, officially, well, we're gonna have the Drew match, right? We're gonna have the
Oh yeah,
Drew
so
match.
that's probably it then, maybe because the Rumbles are so long, so they're probably just
Yeah.
going to have the 4 matches.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, why I do want to talk about the Rumble though is it's always nice to speculate a little bit. Who do we think are winning these things this year?
Yeah, I mean, because like we're going to have, like honestly, I think for the Men's Rumble, since we don't have Sammy in there, um, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it's Braun Breaker that wins the Men's Rumble.
Okay.
So then he re-challenges CM Punk because we know that Roman's not winning it. Because I don't see them doing Roman versus Drew, and they scrapped the plans of Roman and Cody.
Yes. Yeah.
But so I think Braun Breaker is going to win, and honestly, if he wins, it's because he's going to get pick number 30 because that seems to be kind of a big thing where they always have like the last guy come in and kind of win it. But yeah, I do think Braun Breaker will win the Royal Rumble.
So I think that Breaker is the one I expect to win going in. But often, what I've noticed with the Rumble, at least in the last few years, is the winner isn't always the person you expect. For example, I did not expect Jey Uso to win it, right? Like, as popular as Jey Uso was and all these things, it just
Jay would
didn't.
agree with you as well.
That was just like, that was very unexpected. I get why they did it, because it was a way to propel him to the main event and give him his shot at that. And obviously there's a reason that they've now put him back into the tag team with his brother, because essentially fitness reasons, I think. And I think Jay gets a little bit too much criticism sometimes. But yeah.
I think, okay, this is me completely out of the box. This is me that something's probably not going to happen. Can you imagine number 30 hits and we hear Seth Rollins music?
Mm-hmm. So this is what I was wondering. This is where I was eventually going to go to, is I think you're meant to think it's Braun Breaker, and then maybe Seth actually comes back sooner than we think. Because I don't know if people are aware, but there's a climber called Alex Hanold, right? And he, on Netflix last night in the UK, climbed the tallest building in the world live on Netflix. And one of the panelists on this show was Seth Rollins. So, and I know that he's been injured, but he wasn't wearing any sort of support that I could see.
He could win the Rumble, and then he doesn't have to fight until Mania, so it gives him that time to heal. And then
and I also think the other thing is with these with wrestling, they're quite well known for overstating injuries slightly, where they will make the injuries seem worse than they are.
What if Seth wins the Rumble? And then Braun Breaker wins Elimination Chamber, but he wants Punk as well. And then it's a triple threat match at WrestleMania.
Oh, wow. That could be interesting.
Seth has, everybody has beef.
Yeah. Because, there's a lot of speculation that Austin Theory is actually, a secret agent for Seth Rollins, basically. Which I think could be interesting, if Seth Rollins actually kind of said to Theory, get in here and maybe, it's going to be interesting.
There was someone that was putting some kind of Steiner math together, really. And I think that Seth's group's going to be the Revolutionaries. And that I think a long time ago, Seth apparently called Austin Theory a revolutionary.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So that he could come back as the Revolutionaries, and then it's him, Austin Theory, and then whoever else. Yeah,
that's a good idea. I mean, so here's my question to you, because I think this will potentially change a lot of things. Is Punk having a match at Rumble? We expect so, right?
I mean, we'll find out tomorrow.
If he has a match at Rumble, who do you think he's facing?
Well, I mean, logistically, it would have to be somebody from the Vision, but I don't see it being Bronson Reed or Austin Theory.
So it's either going to be Logan Paul or Braun again.
Well, I mean, it won't be Braun Breaker, because Braun Breaker needs to win the Rumble. I don't know. I don't know if
because I'm assuming they're gonna give Punk a match on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. It's one of the major pay-per-views of the year. He is obviously a current champion. You would assume that he's going to get a match, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you, Rumble
Unless it's
wise,
LA
that
Knight, but I would rather see him in the Rumble.
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with you that I don't think Roman Reigns is winning, but I don't think Roman is winning for the pure fact that at this point, for Roman to have a big WrestleMania match, he doesn't need to win the Rumble. It's kind of the same as Cody. Cody never needs to win the Rumble again because he's now established as a main event level star. To me, the Rumble is always, there are two ways to go with it. It's either to help make someone a main event level star, or it's to further a very specific piece of storytelling. So, like, the reason they had Cody win 2 Rumbles back to back was because it was storytelling, right? Whereas the reason they had Jay win the Rumble was to try and propel Jay into the main event level star that they clearly think that he can be. And whether it paid off or not is you know, really yet to be seen, because they've clearly taken a step back from it slightly, but that could just be because of focusing on other things right now. Like, people can't be in the main event all the time. So yeah, but looking through the names here, like I'm looking on the betting odds because sometimes they're a good indication. And weirdly, currently Roman Reigns is the favorite. I don't think Roman is winning it. Second favorite is Bron Breakker. Third favorite, which no longer makes sense, is Sami Zayn.
So here's the thing: if we see Roman on Raw or SmackDown,
yeah,
indicating the belt or whatever, then I can see a point for it. But the fact that he nominated himself for the Rumble in a video package,
yeah,
that to me doesn't make any sense of why he would win the Rumble, because he's got no stake in the game.
Yeah, I agree. It almost feels like they'll probably have something happen at the Rumble to set up a match for him at Mania. So maybe he will get eliminated in dubious circumstances, for example. Yeah. Maybe, like I could, and this is just me spitballing here, but for some reason, I could see something like Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania. And because I think that they like to give Logan Paul a decent sized match most of the time, because they know that he brings in a group of eyes that nobody else on that main roster brings in.
They've done him versus Roman already.
Yeah, true.
I just don't know if that's a Mania match.
Yeah, but then where else do you go with Roman? That's my question. Like, if you're not having Roman go for one of the belts at Mania, where else do you realistically go with him? Because there's no way that they're not going to have Roman on Mania if he's available to wrestle.
Like, I almost think that, like, maybe Seth comes back during the Rumble, but Braun ends up like outsmarting him or something. Braun wins the Rumble, but Seth got Roman out. And so then you have Seth versus Roman at Mania.
That would be interesting, actually. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I like that. I do like that. That's maybe that is what it is. My one concern over Braun is I get that he's the next big thing, because that's very clear. Like, he is the next big thing. I just don't know if he's quite ready yet. Like, it's because they had to accelerate that piece of storytelling because of the Seth Rollins injury.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ready yet, and I think that my gut tells me that the original plan was probably for him to win next year's Rumble, not this year's Rumble. And if they've accelerated plans by an entire year because Seth Rollins got injured, then I'm not sure. I'm just not sure if he's ready to, because like if he wins the Rumble, that means he's main eventing one of the nights of WrestleMania, and I don't know if he's ready for that. I like Braun a lot. I think he's brilliant, but is he experienced enough to have that caliber of match? Probably go on and win, because if he wins the Rumble, you'd assume that he's going to then win the title at Mania and then carry that title. Or is if they pull the trigger on him now, does he end up in a Jey Uso situation where he's not quite ready for it?
Well, I mean,
because of his inexperience.
He could win the Rumble and then go on to WrestleMania, and it's him versus Punk in the finale. And if they haven't brought Seth back, then you bring him back during that match, and he screws Braun out of the title.
That's a really good idea, actually. I didn't think about that. That's a really good way of... Yeah. I'm with you. You've talked me round. Maybe Braun is winning. I mean... There's always part of me in my heart that I would love to see.
Ooh, okay.
Go on.
All right. So you have Punk versus Braun at WrestleMania, right? And Austin Theory and Bronson Reed are out there, and Logan Paul, whatever. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you have LA Knight. He comes down and he fights Bronson Reed because he's got that thing. And they fight, and they take their match out, away from the match. So Bronson Reed's gone.
Yeah.
And then you have Logan Paul and Austin Theory out there, right?
Yeah.
And so then basically Logan Paul and Austin Theory are like beating up Punk or whatever like that. Okay. And Braun Breaker is like in the corner, whatever. Punk's getting beat up. And then like Logan Paul standing, and all of a sudden Austin Theory, like he gives Austin Theory the knucks. And then Austin Theory hits Logan Paul, whatever, and then all of a sudden, like, maybe a mysterious person runs in the ring or whatever like that, and he hands the nuts to the mysterious person, and he pulls its Braun, and it's Seth Rollins. And
that would be really cool.
Breaker basically drags him in the middle of the match, and then he screams like "Punk, you freaking idiot," whatever, and then he drags the ref in there. And then he basically like CM Punk.
So
wins.
I'm going to throw a potential wrench, because I'm on the same wavelength as you, to be very clear. But for the sake of discussion, I am going to throw one wrench in the potential discussion here, because we know that Jericho is supposed to be coming back.
Yeah.
And Jericho returning is a huge thing. And Jericho is also someone who does have history with CM Punk from a storytelling perspective. What are the chances that they actually go with Jericho and Punk leading into Mania instead?
I don't know. I'm still kind of a believer that Jericho's not going to be at the Rumble.
Interesting.
Mainly because on the following Raw, because I think they'll do something at the Rumble or whatever to further the Adam Pearce storyline.
Yes.
And then on Raw, Triple H is there or whatever like that, and he's talking with Heyman, and he's like, "Hey, I just want you to let you know that Adam Pearce is no longer the GM of Raw." And he says, "Triple H, it's like, you are a man of integrity, and like I could not agree with that even more so. Like, sir, congratulations to you, and I'd like to introduce to you the new GM of Raw, Chris Jericho."
I mean, that would certainly be interesting. Different. Not what I would expect, but that would certainly be interesting. Yeah. I think one thing is for sure. This is going to be one of the most interesting Rumbles that we've had in a while, because I don't think it's quite as clear-cut as previous years. As much as we're saying that Braun Breaker is probably winning, Braun Breaker versus Punk is also a match they can get to without Braun winning the Rumble. And that kind of makes me think, oh, okay, does that mean they're going to have the other person win the Rumble so that that person can eventually challenge Drew, assuming that Drew is still the champion at Mania, right?
Yeah.
And when I think about it from that perspective, if the person winning the Rumble is going to be Drew's challenger instead of Punk's, I have no idea who that's going to be. Because who do you go with to go against Drew at Mania? Like, right now, the only one that makes any sense is Cody, but they're not going to have Cody win the Rumble again.
Yeah.
And other than that, people that he's got history with, you could go Damian Priest, potentially.
Yeah,
because obviously
they haven't been building him up to kind of go that route again.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think, there is part of me in my heart, I'd love to see LA Knight win it, but I don't think that wouldn't quite feel right at this moment in time. I think we've got more chance of LA Knight winning like the Money in the Bank this year, because I think he probably should have won it previously and didn't.
Well, I mean, did you see that clip from Unreal that was going around about the Money in the Bank thing? Like, where like he went off script and then got yelled at pretty much.
Yes.
He's
yeah,
like,
I
dude,
did.
we were trying to make you look good.
Yeah. So we'll see. And, we will definitely be talking about the Royal Rumble here in a few weeks on the show.
The Ladies Rumble as well.
And we do have the Ladies Rumble. And that one, I think, is very interesting because at the moment, I have no clue. I have no clue where they're going with this Ladies Rumble.
Well, because you got to think of like, okay, who's going to win the Rumble? Like, what team are they, or what tag team, or what main title are they going after? Because they already have something built up with Stephanie Vaquer right now, so you have to imagine that they're putting somebody in the Rumble to take the title off of Jade Cargill, because Jade Cargill hasn't even hasn't even defended her belt. So I don't know what they're doing there.
I mean, it's going to be Jordan Grace for Jade Cargill, right? Like, that's what we assume, surely.
Yeah, but I don't see Jordan Grace, and I don't see either one of them defending at Mania. I think that Jade Cargill loses the belt before Mania.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's hard to say exactly, but I mean, like, honestly, if you're going to have anybody take on Jade at WrestleMania, it's going to be Bianca Belair.
So I was just going to say, I've just checked the betting odds, and currently Bianca Belair is the favorite to win the Women's Royal Rumble. Second to her is Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
And then third and fourth, we have Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton. Those are the highest on the odds right now. I think that it's interesting because Jade hasn't obviously defended the belt, and I still believe that maybe they don't have 100% confidence in her because...
Well, no, there's just a lot of wrestlers that don't even want to wrestle with her because she's had 2 injuries back to back.
Yeah. So I think they don't have a lot of confidence in her, but that also kind of leaves me with this thing of how much confidence do they have in, for example, someone like Jordan Grace, right? Because Jordan Grace is much more experienced. She was in TNA for a very long time. Yeah. She's a much more experienced, much more accomplished wrestler. And I just wonder if she can basically be what they want Jade Cargill to be, but more consistent.
Yeah, well, I also think that Jade's had the belt for so long because they were probably expecting Tiffany Stratton to do a rematch and take the belt back, like off of her, essentially, because like she's been injured for the last little while, and then she had her breakup with Ludwig Kaiser, so like that probably drained her emotionally as well too during her rehab and whatnot.
Definitely. definitely.
Yeah, and then they haven't wanted to take the belt off Jade because they wanted that redemption thing with Tiffany Stratton. So like
Yeah.
maybe Stratton comes back at the Rumble and wins it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Tiffany Stratton coming back could be cool if she comes back and wins it. Someone I'd love to see win it, but this would never happen. This is more like I'd love to see win it just for the moment and see what they do, is Chelsea Green. Like, I would love Chelsea Green to win the Rumble.
Yeah, I was kind of upset by Hayes' comments on Chelsea Green on Unreal. We're
Yeah.
saying like she's not a main event star; she's there to make people look good.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
I don't agree with that. I mean, has Jade or Charlotte Flair or whoever, have they fought Penta? Nope. Chelsea Green has fought Penta.
Yeah, and also not only that, but it's like you can be someone who's capable of making people look good and still be a main event star. You look back at some of the greatest of all time, right? Shawn Michaels, especially in the later half of his career, was very much known for very good selling in the ring and being capable of making people look good, right? And yet he was a main event star for the entirety of his career in that second half, effectively. You can look at like Cody. Cody is very capable of making people look good. Cody made Roman stronger. Like, and there weren't many people that were capable of doing that. So I don't agree with the sentiment at all that, oh, Chelsea Green is just here to make people look good, or just here to be a comedic character, because that's some of the other things I've heard. And it's like, no. Like, she is, if they gave her something serious to do, she would be just as good at that as she is at the comedy stuff. You can see that she has it. You can see that she has the right mindset for the business, and she understands psychology, and she understands character work. And obviously with her partner, Matt Cardona, now being back in WWE under his more recognizable name, arguably. And I'm glad they made that decision, because they quite easily could have gone with the Zack Ryder thing, but to allow him to actually be Matt Cardona, which is basically the more serious version of Zack Ryder, I kind of, I'd like to see them both have successful runs here in 2026. And I do think that for Chelsea Green, she has reached the point where the next logical step for her is to be in the main event picture of the women's title scene, right? It's to be part of that main event, because she's been the US champion. She's been the tag champion. She's done everything else there is to do in that division. So why on earth they could look at her and be like, yeah, she's not a main eventer is really beyond me. Like, and I think it makes you wonder, is there this mindset in WWE that if you're too good at your job, you're actually then sort of almost abused? Like, abused is the wrong word, right? But you're taken advantage of because you're so good at your job. They then want you to only do that to enhance other people. And it's like,
yeah, she's been good with that though, because she's like, yeah, being stupid, being the klutz has bought me my house, so
yeah, like, to her, she doesn't seem to care. But as a fan, I would love to see her get that next level and just get an opportunity, because I think the fans would love it. I think that if she won the Rumble, the reaction that would get would probably be the biggest reaction to a women's Royal Rumble winner yet, I think. Like, it would be huge if she won the Rumble, but we'll see what happens with the women. I know there is expectation that like AJ is going to be in it as well, AJ Lee.
Well, I think AJ Lee is going to fight Becky Lynch at Mania for the Intercontinental title.
I agree with that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the Rumble's going to be a good one, and we will, of course, report on it as soon as we can, because the way that Jeff stays off work, we won't be able to record until nearly a week after the Rumble actually happens. But we will be sure to bring our impressions to you. And now I think it's almost time to get into video game news. But of course, before that, as always, we have a word from our very valuable partner here, NordVPN. Isn't that correct, Jeff?
Yes. Right now, with NordVPN and our partnership with them, you can save up to 70% on NordVPN's 2-year plans. So, Canadian dollar, you're going from $14.69 down to $4.29 per month. You also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. However, if you push past that 30-day money guarantee and continue with your subscription, you're going to be helping us out, as that's when we start seeing a little bit of money coming our way from this partnership. And you can go and subscribe to NordVPN at www.nordvpn.com/analogstickgaming and start saving today.
Fantastic. Right. Well, we've got a few news stories here today. And of course, the main ones are tied to the Xbox Developer Direct. But before that, what other news have we got to talk about this week, Jeff?
Yeah. So the biggest news for me is that Microsoft got rid of WordPad. So I've had to use a different app to prep everything. So that's been fun. So I'm using onlinewordpad.com.
Yeah.
All right. So this one's kind of a 2-for-1 kind of thing. We've got Nintendo veteran Hideki Kono seemingly quietly left the company last year, which has emerged as spotted by users on EAD Ninja, or as spotted by users EAD Ninja and Leo Sukaze on the Fama Board's forums, and verified by BGC. Kono's Facebook page noted that he left Nintendo back in July with no announcement or statement from either Kono or the company. Kono, age 60, was a veteran designer and producer at Nintendo who joined the company in 1986. It's perhaps his work on the Mario Kart series where he's best known. However, Kono directed the original Super Mario Kart and its sequel, Mario Kart 64, and was a producer on Mario Kart DS, Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart 7, Mario Kart 8, and Mario Kart. The document says Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Kart Tour. He was credited with special thanks in Mario Kart World. While it seemingly came first, the discovery of Kono's departure follows last week's announcement that another Nintendo veteran was leaving the company after nearly 40 years of service. Kensuke Kanabe, who, like Kono, also joined the company in 1986 and worked on Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3, told Nintendo Dream magazine that Metroid Prime 4 was his last game at Nintendo, and that producer Risa Tabata would likely succeed him should another Metroid Prime game ever be made. In the modern era, he's best known as the longtime producer of the Metroid Prime and Paper Mario series. In total, Tanabe has credited with more than 150 games. So this one's kind of interesting because, again, you have a big Nintendo guy leave last July. No fanfare, no talk, no nothing whatsoever. Yeah. And then we have this guy here that has a storied history with Nintendo, and he's left, and that's become like this big vocal point. And what a lot of people some people have said, like, oh, shit must be going down to Nintendo, but these guys have been there for longer than most developers ever get to work in the industry, period, let alone at one company.
Yes.
Like Nintendo has a lot of people that have been with that company running that ship for the last like 4 or 5 decades. And that's kind of unheard of in the industry. And so you've got these guys that are involved with these big franchises like Mario and whatnot, and Metroid. It's kind of like these guys are just looking to retire now.
Yeah. I mean, they've been around a really long time. Is it like retirement comes eventually for everybody,
Yeah.
so that's okay. But yeah, I think it is interesting that we're seeing some of the biggest, you know, kind of most established people at Nintendo all kind of stepping down and moving away from the industry potentially at the same time. I wonder
Yeah.
whether that is presenting some challenges for Nintendo that they might not have expected to have, right?
I, I think Nintendo's the kind of company that kind of does a lot of planning
yeah.
ahead, because like sometimes they hold on to a game for an entire year with it being
Yes.
done.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that they would have had plans. I mean, they already talk about this looking to proceed the Metroid Prime series, or if they make another one. I mean, I hope they don't make another one like they did for Metroid Prime 4. That's a bad game to end out on. I would have held on for maybe one more good game. But no, it is kind of an interesting type of thing, seeing that these big guys who have been involved with like so many titles. I mean, when you go back and that guy has, credits on Super Mario Brothers 2 as 3, like that's a long time ago. And so for them to like be part of that history, and obviously they've trained people, they've been mentors to a lot of other people. There are people that got into the game industry that are probably in their second or third decade. You're probably in their second decade who like played those original games when they were a kid. But I mean, like Nintendo is such an interesting company because like you get these guys that have been there for 30, 40 years. And I mean, there's people in North America and outside of Japan that have been in the gaming industry for 30 or 40 years, and they've probably worked for 7 or 8 different companies.
Yeah, very true. Very true. To have that sort of longevity at one company is mostly unheard of, right? And like should be applauded, quite frankly. So, well done to these people. I wish them all the best in whatever they're going to do in the future. And if that is retire, then congratulations. You've had a wonderful career and and your work has impacted many people's lives. I think that we've said it before and we'll say it again. So much of today's society wants to see the doom and gloom in everything, in every single aspect of everything. And it's like you said, maybe these people are just deciding, okay, it's time to retire. Like sometimes it's nothing more like it's not always, oh my God, things are falling apart over there. Here, let's put out all these fires. No, like not everything has to be some massive thing. So I agree with you on that. And yeah, this is yes, it's an interesting piece of news, but does it mean that Nintendo's in trouble or something? No, absolutely not. And I don't think anyone should take it that way.
In breaking news, Yoshi has been shown in the latest Super Mario Galaxy movie trailer.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh,
yeah. So that
Yoshi, nice.
I'll have to watch that trailer once we're done. I mean, we would watch it here, but we don't get a copyright strike and sue.
Yes, Nintendo. Yeah, and Nintendo definitely wants a copyright strike everybody, so we won't be doing that.
We won't do it.
No. But there is a competitor to Nintendo called Sega. And are
they really a competitor anymore?
I mean,
back then maybe.
I mean, didn't they win golden joysticks?
I don't think they won it. I don't think they won. I don't think Sonic Cross Worlds won Game of the Year at the golden joysticks.
But maybe they did in their mind. Maybe they did in their mind.
In their hearts. They did in their hearts. All right.
But what have we got about Sonic Racing
So
Crossroads?
this one may not seem like anything, but I think it's actually kind of neat. Sega's chief creative officer of Sonic the Hedgehog, Takashi Izuka, has discussed post-launch plans for racing game Sonic Crossworlds and said he's open to adding deep-cut Sonic characters as future DLC. Since its release last September, Sonic Crossworlds has received regular, free, and paid crossover characters, including Hatsune Miku, Joker from Persona, Ichiban Kasuga from Like a Dragon, and Knights, Pac-Man, Minecraft, and SpongeBob SquarePants. The game's director, Masaru Koyakawa, uh, apologies if I've pronounced that incorrectly, has hinted at big surprises for players this year. And now Sonic boss Suzuka has offered further hints at what could be coming down the pipeline for players. In an interview with MC Magazine, Izuka was asked if, following Ichiban and Kasuga and Knights, if fans could expect more Sega All-Stars to arrive as future Crossworlds DLC. Sega has such a rich cast of characters, and Sonic Racing Crossworlds is a great place to celebrate that legacy. We're always thinking about who might be next, so keep an eye out for more announcements down the line as the season continues. Next, Izuka was asked if he considered deeper cuts from the Sonic universe, such as characters from the 1993 animated TV series, Netflix show Sonic Boom, or the IDW comic book series. There's a lot of passion around the extended Sonic universe, and we're open to including the deep cut characters if the opportunity feels right. We want Sonic Racing Crossworlds to represent all eras of Sonic. Now, it was also in the same article, which you can read on VGC, it was also talked about how he talked about, like, not without naming names, but that there were several companies that actually just flat out turned down characters from appearing in that.
Yes.
But I mean, yeah, like there could be some Sonic deep cuts for sure. I mean, I don't know enough about the Sonic history to really.
And let's be honest, I think more interestingly is Sega's amazing cast of characters, right? Like you could have people from, even Shenmue back in the day. Like you could get characters from there and stick in this game.
They've had Shenmue in one of the previous Sonic Racing games.
Yeah.
Isn't it's not Grandia. What was the other one? The Sega JRPG that was on the Saturn. They could have those characters.
Yeah, like Sega have got a lot of characters. They've got lots and
Sega
lots of characters.
JRPG Saturn. What was that game?
Jeff is gonna find out.
I know there was like a big one. I can't remember what it was. I'm not too sure exactly what it was, but I mean, they could have tons of stuff. They could have stuff from Panzer Dragoon, Dragon Force. Like there's tons of little characters. Oh, I can't remember the name of that, but maybe it wasn't Sega.
Interesting. Interesting.
I just thought it was Sega. It was what was that game?
They could have characters from Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons there. Cool. I mean, hell, you could even do like a collection of all the little critters that Robotnik captures in one of those like little capsules and stuff like that.
Yeah,
there's tons of.
They've got a lot of opportunity, and I think that's a good thing. Like, why not support a game? Why not continue to support a game that has clearly been quite successful, right? Like,
what was that game?
It's done well, and they should continue supporting it. So this is a good piece of news. But we do have, of course, something that isn't necessarily such a good piece of news, because it has resulted in some game cancellations and also some delays to other projects.
Yeah.
And it involves Ubisoft.
Right,
what is the Ubisoft news right now?
All right. So this piece of news is a bit long. I tried trimming it down as much as I could, but there's a quote that's literally like 3 paragraphs. Here we go. Assassin's Creed publisher Ubisoft has detailed a major reset for the company that will see its creative operations split into 5 separate divisions. The organizational restructuring, which has been in the works for over a year, is designed to help the French publisher reclaim its creative leadership and drive a sharp rebound, it said on Wednesday, following a turbulent few years of disappointing game launches and plummeting stock value, which recently resulted in a minority sale to Tencent. As a result, 6 games have been fully canceled, 7 delayed, and 2 studios closed, the company confirmed during a media briefing attended by VGC. The 6 canceled games did not meet Ubisoft's new enhanced quality expectations, it said, including the much-delayed Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, a mobile title, and 4 other announced titles, including 3 which were original IPs. In addition, Ubisoft said it's delayed 7 games to ensure they meet quality expectations. It did not say which games have slipped, but confirmed that the 7 titles include 1 title that was planned for release before April this year, which will now be released before April of next year.
And we know what game that is. We actually do know. So that was going to be the Black Flag remake.
Oh, okay.
That was supposed to be. So according to Tom Henderson at Insider Gaming, that game was supposed to release by March 31st at the latest. Okay. And they've now moved it to the next financial year, which means it could still come in 2026. But, of course, it could come up until the end of March 2027 now. So we'll see what happens with that.
Okay. Ubisoft has conducted a thorough review of its content pipeline over December and January, the company said. This has led to the strategic decision to refocus its portfolio, reallocate resources, and comprehensively revise its roadmap over the next 3 years. 2 studios were closed as part of this reset, Ubisoft said. Its Halifax and Stockholm studios, which were previously announced. During a web call attended by VGC, the company said that it would consider selling other assets but not provide any specific details. The company wouldn't comment directly on the number of layoffs that could happen as a result of the restructuring and cuts. But regarding canceled projects, CFO Frederick Dugat said there are some people who will be refocused on other big projects and some that may leave the company. Yves Guillemot, founder and CEO of Ubisoft, said in a statement, on one hand, the AAA industry has become persistently more selective and competitive with rising development costs and greater challenges in creating brands. On the other hand, exceptional AAA games, when successful, have more financial potential than ever. In this context, today we are announcing a major reset built to create the conditions for a return to sustainable growth over time. We are transforming Ubisoft's operating model to produce exceptional quality games on the 2 core pillars of our strategy, open world adventures and games as a service native experiences. At the center of this transformation are our creative houses, integrated businesses units, now combining production and publishing and therefore unifying the gamer relationship. Each one is built around a clear genre and brand focus with full responsibility and financial ownership led by direct, dedicated leadership teams. It is a radical move, relying on a more decentralized creative organization with faster decision-making and best-in-class cross-function core services supporting and servicing each creative house. To put the creative houses in the best conditions to succeed, we decided to refocus our portfolio with a meaningful revised 3-year roadmap and accelerate our cost reduction initiatives to right-size the organization. We will discontinue several projects currently in development and provide additional time to certain games to ensure enhanced quality and maximize long-term value. We will also selectively close several studios and continue restructuring throughout the group. While these decisions are difficult, they are necessary for us to build a more focused, efficient, and sustainable organization over the long term. Taken together, these measures mark a decisive turning point for Ubisoft and reflect our determination to confront challenges head-on to reshape the group for the long term. And finally, the portfolio refocus will have a significant impact on the group's short-term financial trajectory, particularly in fiscal years 2026 and 2027. But this reset will strengthen the group and enable it to renew with sustainable growth and robust cash generation. Ubisoft is entering a new phase, one designed to reclaim creative leadership and build value for players and stakeholders over the long term. So a lot of this obviously is PR speak.
Yes.
I mean, it's a lot of it is there to satisfy stakeholders and Tencent and all these other different companies and stuff that are all part of Ubisoft. Um, you know, it's hard to say exactly what condition a lot of those games were in that were canceled, whether or not it was good for them to cancel it, whether or not it was missed opportunities, things like Perfect Dark. But yeah, like this, I hope this actually leads to what they're talking about instead of
Yes.
just like downsizing, more companies and letting go of a ton of other people. But at the exact same time, they've got like 1,100 people working on like an Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it's to the point where like maybe they could be making more money if they trimmed their teams and maybe put those people on other games.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. While I agree a lot of this is PR speak, I actually am very positive about this. And look, I don't like studio closures or game cancellations at any time. But Ubisoft did need a change because over the years they have become less focused, I guess is the way of saying it. And this change to me almost sounds like they're taking a leaf out of like a Sega book or a Square Enix book where those studios have basically creative business units, right? And they'll have unit one, two, three, whatever. And each of those units have their own leadership structure. They basically are responsible for themselves, so they become their own company within the company, and then they focus on very particular things. And I think in doing that, it's the right move. It is the right move because it allows more separation between their live service efforts and their traditional Ubisoft open world style efforts, which I think is exactly the right thing to do because we want as small an amount of cross pollination there as possible, right? And I think that again they do talk about here, and it's something that I can relate to and agree with, is having these separate business units and a less centralized creative structure will actually allow them to make faster decisions and more easily change things. So let's say they reveal a game and people respond to it in a certain way. Currently, it might mean that they have to delay the game by 6 months to make the changes required because of how their structure works, right? Decisions take a long time to be made because they have to go all the way up to the top and then all the way back down again. Whereas when you're siphoning off these groups, if you will, you have less people to go to. You have less people to answer to because, yes, those creative people who are in charge of each of these business units or business houses, they will still be ultimately responsible to the Ubisoft board and the overall company, but the people under them will not be. And therefore, it just allows a better flow of information, or that would be the hope. And I do think that there's a chance that this is a huge positive for Ubisoft going forward. But it's also one where for the players and for the general public, we aren't going to see the real changes. We aren't going to see the ramifications of these changes for years to come. Because ultimately, everything that Ubisoft has coming out within the next 2 years, let's say, are games that have already been in development under the old system, right? And therefore, this newer system and way of working isn't going to have a huge impact on those projects but things in the future will be massively impacted by this. And I did a little bit of digging, and I know that they also called out like the Splinter Cell franchise as something that they are still trying to actively work on and is being put into one of these creative houses.
Yeah.
For me, the more interesting part of it is which studios do they put into which creative house? Because
they did talk about that. It was one thing that I cut just because it was quite a bit of
bluff.
kind of bit of stuff. Let me see here. Let me see if I can bring it up here because it did have the list. Wait, there's that one. There we are. Come on. All right. Oh. All right. So I don't know about. Are you there?
I am, yes. Hello.
Okay. So I don't see the CH1 Creative House. Oh, Vantage Studios is the CH1. CH2 is dedicated to titles such as The Division, Ghost Recon, and Splinter Cell.
Okay.
CH3 will operate titles like For Honor, The Crew, Riders Republic, Brawlhalla, and Skull and Bones.
Okay.
CH4 will do Fantasy Worlds, which is like Anno, Might and Magic, Rayman, Prince of Persia, and Beyond Good and Evil. And then CH5 will be family-friendly titles like Just Dance, Uno, and Hasbro.
Interesting. Okay. So they're basically putting in the majority of the Tom Clancy stuff together, which is interesting because there is a cross-pollination within those games, and having a group of studios that can help each other out on those things could be really promising. We'll see. I mean, we will see. I do think the other negative news for Ubisoft recently, and we spoke about this person recently on the show, is that Julian Garrity, who was the head of the Division franchise, creative director on Division 2, and also played a huge role in Division 1, recently, as you know, was talking about Division 3 and upcoming updates to Division 2 just a few weeks ago. And he is now no longer at Ubisoft because he has taken up a position at EA's studio DICE, who is also Swedish-based, just like Massive Entertainment. And there is some speculation. Obviously, this has not been confirmed, but given what DICE work on, there is some speculation that he's essentially taking over the Vince Zampella role, at least within the Battlefield franchise.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. I mean, he's a clearly very proven creator that knows how to do very successful live service games. So I can understand why EA has had a big interest in him, obviously. And I wish him all the best in his new job, and can't wait to see what him and the teams over there create in the years to come. But now we have obviously to talk about the Xbox Developer Direct, which happened just 3 days ago on the 22nd of January. And there were 4 games in this Developer Direct. 2, of course, from Playground Games, being Forza and Fable. Yeah. Then we had Game Freak's Beast of Reincarnation. And then we had a small surprise from Double Fine, being Kiln. Where do we want to start with this show, Jeff? What do we want to talk about first?
We can talk Forza. Yeah, like Forza is finally going to Japan. People have wanted that for quite a while. They're still doing the Horizon tournaments or the events. That's going to be the festivals are going to be the structure of every Forza Horizon game going forward. I don't think they'll ever get rid of it. This one, you start out as like a tourist, essentially, as opposed to someone who's just part of the actual festival.
Yeah.
So you'll be
So
kind of
the
starting from there.
so the progression rate is probably going to be slightly different. This is one thing I picked up on very early. They've almost gone back to how the earlier Forza Horizon games worked, because in 4 and 5 you play as someone who is basically a legend of the festival, and you start off having this great reputation. But
Yeah.
the earlier Forza games were all about building up your reputation within the festival itself and getting access to better things over time because of that. And this does sound like they're going back to that kind of progression system here in Forza Horizon 6. So I'm quite pleased by that.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks really good. I mean, they're going to have a lot more kind of different terrain and kind of different. I think just an overall feel to it, because you're going to have a lot of thinner roads.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it's not so comforting for like a lot of passing and stuff like that. But
Yeah. And
no,
and
it
of
looks
course
solid.
they mentioned that drifting is going to be very important.
Yeah, I'm just hoping the drifting is good, because like I stopped playing one of the Need for Speed games because the drifting was just not good at all.
Yeah.
Because I hope they don't have those things where you have to do like drifting stunt things in a parking lot. Like that stuff is just I want racing. I don't want like the stunt stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's
But
fair.
no, it looks solid. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks absolutely visually gorgeous. I think both that and Fable. I think that studio has got a good a good lock on everything. And I like how people are always blaming the Xbox Series S for holding back the generation, but then these games look amazing on the Series
I
S.
agree. Yeah,
So
I
like,
agree. I agree.
go fuck
It's,
yourself.
Forza for Forza Horizon 6 looks like another guaranteed, like, probably best sports / racing game this year. Like,
Yeah,
we know what that studio can do with these kind of games, and finally going to Japan is what everyone's waited for so many years out of this franchise. So I actually think it's one of those situations where it's harder for them to mess up this game than it is to succeed. And that's not very often true of very many games, but Forza Horizon 6 looks like exactly what you'd expect it to be, with some tweaks and changes. They did announce that the game will have 550 cars at launch, which is more than any other Forza Horizon game at launch, which is, that's good. It's coming out in May as previously leaked via the Forza Horizon 5 video game itself. It is coming out in May. I believe that's the 19th, possibly the 18th. I think is the 19th.
I think it was the 19th.
With 4 days early access, should you get the premium edition or premium edition upgrade, which you can of course buy if you're a Game Pass user to allow you to gain access to all the DLC without having to buy the full priced premium edition itself. I'm sure that we will have coverage of it here on Analog Stick Gaming, and I do know that we will have coverage on the Outer Haven as well, because I'm supposed to be, hopefully, when the time comes, reviewing the game for the Outer Haven. So we'll see what happens with that. But the other one from Playground Games, we might as well talk about now, since we're on the subject of Playground Games,
Sure.
and that is Fable, which I was a little bit apprehensive about Fable, not because I don't believe in the studio, but because this is a brand new development team that was specifically put together for this project, and Fable has a lot of things about it that are very unique. It has a unique tone and humor. It has unique elements in terms of essentially being a God mode style game in a certain way. And I wasn't sure whether Playground Games would be able to capture that.
Well, I know a lot of people were kind of criticizing it, wishing it had a little bit more of a cartoony kind of vibe to it. Some people were complaining that you were like kicking chickens, and I'm like, well, obviously you never played the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of people were saying that it going like as photoreal as it's trying to go isn't really the identity of Fable, and I kind of agree to a certain extent, but I think it still looks like really good.
I agree. And I also think the other thing is right now, what's happening is I think it's hard for some old school fans of Fable to accept that this isn't a sequel. This isn't supposed to be like the original Fables. It's supposed to have the heart and the soul, but it's Playground Games' version of Fable. And they talk about it in, if you check out the Xbox Wire post, the game director has a really good interview on there where he goes more into detail about certain things. And he said, like, the reason this isn't a sequel and it's a full reboot instead is because they wanted control over what they want to do with the game effectively. That's the most basic way to say it. And I don't think there's any problem with the art style being a little bit different and things like that, as long as they capture the main things about Fable, right? And I really liked when they said, for example, in the story that you do start off as a young child, and then obviously disaster strikes, and we go from there. That is a very Fable thing. And if you think about fairy tales, which is essentially what Fable is, so many fairy tales begin with a child who then goes through some sort of disaster, right? And that feels quintessential to the franchise and the IP itself. Like, they needed to have that, I think. But what I really liked the look of, and I was surprised by this, was the combat. I think the combat to me looks almost similar to The Witcher, but slightly faster paced and smoother. Like the way in which you use magic is it doesn't slow you down. It doesn't seem like it seems like you've got quick action buttons. We obviously don't know much about it right now, but we see that it is quite varied. You have ranged weapons, you have magic, you have melee, and within melee, we see the character use a sword, a hammer, and a few other things. And it's like, I think there's going to be variety in this combat. However, when I was looking at the game, there was part of it where I was like, this kind of reminds me of a mix between Hogwarts Legacy and Dragon Age Velgard. Like something about the way it looks and the way the animations are felt somewhat similar to those games. That's not a bad thing. It's just an observation that I had. Where I got really excited, though, and I don't know if this is true for you as well, Jeff, is when they started to talk about the other side of Fable, the other element of a Fable game, which is everything else you can do in a Fable game, right? And they talk about how in this game there's around 1,000 NPCs, and every single one of them you can have conversations with. Yeah. And they will react to the things you're doing in the world, because the morality system is slightly different this time around. And they explain it more in the Xbox Wire post as well. But essentially what they're doing is there's not a black and white good and evil, because you can do something that's good and some people will really like you for it, but other people might not agree with what you're doing. And so in that sense, I think they're trying to mirror the real world a little bit more. Because let's be honest, in real life, there aren't many things that are completely black and white, good and evil, right? Like, there's a lot of gray area, and the way in which people think and feel about things is very personal to themselves. Mm-hmm. And one of the things they mention is, like, for NPCs to have an opinion on your actions, they actually have to see you do them or see the result of those actions. And it almost made me feel like, oh, that's kind of similar to like a Red Dead Redemption type of thing, where if you murder somebody out in the woods and nobody sees you, it doesn't really matter. But if someone sees you, they go and try and get the sheriff and all these other things, you know, and it's like, yeah. I like that reactiveness. But the way in which this NPC system works, of like having each of these NPCs have their own life and their own schedules and their own personalities and thoughts and beliefs, I think when you combine that with the morality system of good and evil, and each of these NPCs will react to it completely differently, we could be in for some really interesting stuff here, because they show how like the NPCs will react to you as you're walking around, right? They'll say like, oh yeah, you're a hero. And then there's one guy who's like, you imbecile. And that made me laugh out loud.
One video that was really funny where they dubbed over it and stuff like that. And they had the person like walking through town and everyone was going like, I'd hit that. I'd hit that. I'd hit that. I'd hit that. It was so funny.
That is funny. And it's like, and then they showed some of the stuff you can do, right? And this is the important stuff for Fable, is like, they talked about how you can buy every single business in the game and then hire NPCs to work for you. You can buy every house in the game. And if you want to, you can just randomly evict people from the house once you've bought it, and they'll end up on the streets and then they'll hate you and all these sorts of things. And then one of the most interesting things they mentioned, in my opinion, was these your choices change the world elements that they're talking about. And the example they give is that early on in the story, you'll meet a farmer called Dave, played by Richard Ayoade from the British version of The Office and IT Crowd. He's in loads of things. He's a comedian, brilliant guy. We've seen him in one of the previous trailers, but he's essentially a farmer who comes across this formula that turns himself into a giant, effectively.
Yeah.
And he becomes a bit of a problem for you. But what they said is you can decide whether to kill or spare him. And if you kill him, his corpse will then lay on a certain piece of the land for the rest of your playthrough. Yeah. And it will affect things such as the house prices and what the NPCs in that area think of you. Like, and I really like that, because it makes your choices have more consequence, because they're actually affecting the world around you and they're affecting the other systems that you play with in the game. And I can see, for example, some people killing Dave the farmer just so the house prices go down so they can buy more houses. You know, like,
I wonder if you could it'd be kind of neat if you could like hire like a company to like clean them up or whatever like that.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. And I was apprehensive about certain elements, and I know people have complained about like, oh, there were some frame drops and performance looks like it might not be great. And one of the things I said to people is, you've got to remember a few things. The build of this game that we saw being played, firstly, would have been recorded months before this show, right? So if it was recorded even 6 months before the show, let's say, that means it's on an even older build of the game. So this build of the game that they recorded the gameplay on could be nearly a year old. And a year in development terms is a really long time. So one thing I want to stress to people is never, ever judge a game based on the performance that you see in a presentation like this.
Yeah.
Because the way these presentations are made and the fact that they have to be made so far in advance means that what you're seeing on the day you see it doesn't even represent the game on that same day, because the game is now in a completely different place as what it was when they recorded that footage. Does it mean the game's going to have no performance issues when it comes out? No, I'm not saying that. but it does mean that you cannot judge the footage from a performance perspective. So, in that regard, I don't know about you, Jeff, but Fable has really shot up the list for me now. Like, I was excited for it anyway, but this looks like it could be a brilliant video game.
Yeah, no, it looks really really good. I mean, I know, like, I think Fable 2 is my favorite of the main trilogy, and then no one remembers the Connect Fable game. But yeah, no, it looks solid. It looks like this team has got the right idea about how to go about it.
Yes.
You know, like they're doing all the things that they pretty much should be doing.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it looks absolutely fantastic.
I agree. I completely agree. And there's another game, of course, that I know you're probably interested in, and that was Beast of Reincarnation from Game Freak.
Yeah, so I got this right up here just so that we can talk a little bit more about it. Hold on here. Let me. Why is this not? There we go. All right. So, So the game tells the story of Emma, an exiled protagonist accompanied by her wolf companion Ku, exploring a world where parasitic plants called the blight have overgrown around the world. Most of the human population has been lost due to the blight, but Emma has the ability to hunt malefax and seal their blight within their own body. Emma and Ku have to defeat the Beast of Reincarnation by defeating powerful enemies known as the Nushi and absorbing their power. Emma and Ku's powers are connected. If Emma parries an enemy attack, Ku's power will build, allowing her to use powerful techniques called blooming arts. The game's director and writer Kota Fukushima previously worked as a battle planner and sound manager in certain Pokemon games, but says he's always wanted to try working on a new experience. Beast of Reincarnation was previously announced as Project Bloom, and due to the published by Take-Two's Private Division label before it was sold off in 2024, it will now be published by a new company called Fictions. The game will also be available on Game Pass day one, so people will be able to try that game out with very little hurdles in order to try and get out. But no, it looks really nice. I think visually it looks really cool. I like the dynamic of having the wolf with you and using that towards building towards combat. I kind of wish it wasn't called the blight, because 75,000 other games have a sickness called the blight.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, like it looks really really good, and it gives it recontextualizes how much the Pokemon Company is probably limiting Game Freak in regards to being an actual studio.
Yeah, probably. I mean, this is why this game interests me most of all, is to see what these legendary developers can do when they're not just making a Pokemon game for one system, right? Like, they're actually able to kind of stretch and flex their muscles a little bit here with this game. And I will say, I was very impressed by everything that I saw. And it certainly is one that I'm looking forward to at least trying out when the time comes.
Yeah, to me, it kind of almost looks like if you took something like Kenna Bridge of Spirits, but then placed it in kind of like a world of like that monkey game. The Souls-like.
Yeah,
like
I can't think of it.
It's like if like Kenna
Black
Bridge
Myth
of Spirits,
Wukong.
Yeah, it's like a combination of like Black Myth Wukong and Kenna Bridge of Spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of like that, you know, the Venn diagram of like what those games are, and there's like a small little sliver of where they meet. Like it feels like that in a lot of ways. Yeah. But no, it looks excellent. I'm super pumped for playing it. I will 100% play that game.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'll definitely give it a go for sure. Now we obviously have the surprise, which, if you knew anything, wasn't a real surprise, which is a nice little game from Double Fine, which I think could be quite successful, depending on how it actually plays and things because it's doing something quite different, and that is called Kiln. Have you what do you think of Kiln, Jeff?
I mean, when they gave it a lot of attention back during the documentary about Double Fine and showing that game, I'm like, yeah, okay, I could see them kind of doing something like that. And they've obviously made it more bright and colorful than what it was before. And you basically make pottery, and then you send those potteries out to do your bidding on the in the multiplayer aspects of it, and it looks really neat. Like you can kind of design what you kind of want it to look like. I'm pretty sure that they've built in safeguards of people making suggestive things.
Yes.
But no, it looks excellent. I'm surprised that this was not shadow dropped.
I am kind of, yeah, I am as well.
You know, because it would have been a great and you can play Kiln today.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited to see this, not only because of it getting released and then the fact that it's Double Fine, but maybe they're going to continue the documentary and we're going to see more about how this game kind of made the jump from pitch to,
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely be cool to get a deeper look at that process. I like, and I really want to call this out here because I don't think that Xbox and Microsoft get enough credit for this. One of the best things they've done is acquire Double Fine and just let them continue to be Double Fine.
Yeah.
Like, give them the financial security to make this weird game that came up in a pitch event, in a 2-week pitch event. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's cool. It's definitely interesting. I kind of wish that we also would have got that one pitch that they did where you're on the back of a giant creature and then it's almost like a tower defense game.
Yeah.
But
who knows? Maybe that one's next.
Who knows? Or maybe they saw that it was pretty similar to that rock and roll.
Definitely. What I find quite interesting about this game Kiln is they talked about how the different shapes and stuff that you choose are going to affect the way that the gameplay works for you when you're then using this pot in the multiplayer mode, and I do think that it sounds like they're willing to kind of add other multiplayer modes over time, and they're going to try and do other things with the game as well. You can put stickers on the pops,
That allows them to do kind of like the Balatro thing, where you're applying different stuff. So you'd have Dave the Diver stickers.
Yeah, and I do think you'll get some people using this game just as a creative thing as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. And Double Fine, if you haven't thought of this, steal this idea. I would not be surprised one bit if they did almost like a WWE 2K community creations type thing where they allow you to make your pot and then just share it online for other players to use. Like, something like that could be quite cool because I could see people using this system just almost as a creative thing and not actually playing the multiplayer element. I think a lot of people would do that. So, it's a nice little game. I like that it's something quite unique. Like, where else have we seen a pottery MOBA brawler type video game before? It's I like that this is actually something unique and different. I am surprised that it's not coming sooner. Like, even without it being a shadow drop, I'm surprised that they didn't say like, oh yeah, this game's out in like 2 weeks, Like,
I don't know if it was just like they couldn't commit to making sure that it was, and then they didn't want to rush them or whatever, saying like, hey, is there a chance that this could be available at this time?
Yeah.
But it'll be out before Summer Game Fest, so.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to see. I will definitely jump in and play it. Who knows, if timing allows, maybe we'll even do a little stream of it on the channel, because that could be quite interesting. we can both make pots and see what happens. But yeah, we'll see, because this year's going to be very, very busy. But that basically summarizes everything from the Xbox Developer Direct. And we have about 15 minutes left here of the show,
Sure.
Jeff.
Let me pick what we're gonna do here. I'll scrap 2XKO until I've got some more time to kind of spend with it.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, I think we'll start with Mio.
Yes.
Just because we have both played it. I've played through all of it.
Yes.
So Mio is quite good. It's also our Game Pass game of the week, so definitely do try it out. Yeah, Mio basically is a Metroidvania. You play as a small little kind of like tiny character who kind of wakes up in this world essentially that is this big giant robot floating through space kind of thing, and it's been decommissioned and the caretakers no longer take care of it. So essentially it's become this husk essentially, and you are kind of visiting the caretakers and taking like the essence of what they are and putting it back into this robot to kind of make it alive and whatnot. And it is a very good Metroidvania. There are a few glaring things that I'm not terribly too fond of, but it plays extremely good because you get a lot of mechanics that kind of allow for traversal to be a little bit different. You got this like grappling hook thing, which is great when you need it in kind of wide open areas, but whenever you get a lot of like tight fitting areas, that's when it becomes a little bit unreliable. There's one boss fight in particular that I know that friend of the site, Keith Mitchell, was kind of annoyed by, and I barely scraped by it. And that encounter took me longer than I probably spent almost playing the game. Like I died so many times because that mechanic is just not terribly reliable. But you're moving around this area, you're going in different locations. They're all like one's like a frost area, one's like a jungle kind of area. And you're kind of interacting with all these other little robots and these little characters, and you're fighting a lot of bosses, and the bosses are pretty good. They're pretty standard. Like a lot of them have very simple mechanics until you get to the next phase, and then it changes things up. And the game is quite fun. Like it is a very, very good Metroidvania. It's gorgeous. It's all like this, like almost like sketched watercolor type of thing with a lot of like muted colors so that the foreground stuff sticks out. But it's all 3D as well too. So like when you're passing by pipes will be flooded over top of you and behind you, and they'll go into the foreground and background. And you have a lot of kind of freedom in like kind of how you are going about certain areas because of the traversal things. Combat can be a little basic because you just have the one weapon and it doesn't really change. But you also get these this mechanic where it reminds me of like Nier Automata, where you have these like little modules that fill up a certain thing, and so you can spend a lot of points on this particular perk, and then this other perk's really good, but it's expensive, so it fills up the majority of that bar, and you're building that bar up. The one thing that I will say that is a decision choice so bad that at the end of our year, when we have our Game of the Year awards, and we have what I like to call the uninstallees, there's going to be a worst game mechanic of the year category, and that is because of this game. There is a mechanic called the Tremors, and you encounter one at the very beginning, and it zaps all your health down to like 3 things or whatever. So periodically throughout the game, and I think I experienced it twice, it will take a full health segment and obliterate it for no reason whatsoever. And these are things that you have to go out and earn and track down and build up 4 of them and then get another one. Like you spend all this time exploring and really contributing to what the game wants you to do just for that to penalize you.
Yeah.
And to me, it makes absolutely no sense. And I've seen a lot of people playing this for like 1 or 2 hours and like promoting it and going, hey, this game's amazing, go play it, blah, blah, blah. But they're not getting to that point to be able to talk about it to people.
Yes.
So if you're watching like, you know, like Giant Bomb, for example, I love Giant Bomb. They did a feature on it. And I don't know if I never watched it, but they only played like, I think like the first 2 hours, but you don't really experience the tremors within that time. So I'd have to check and see if they talk about it. Because the tremors for me took a game that I probably would have scored a 9. And I dropped it down to, I think, like a 7.5 or something, because the tremors were that impactful. I mean, again, there are other things that did, like the grappling hook thing is so inconsistent, and led to so many deaths.
And we call out in our review as well, and it's not often that we do this, but we did it in a very specific way, which is something new to this year. We called out the very lack of accessibility in the game.
Yeah, like so the accessibility that they have is where every single time a boss dies, they get weaker. And they do. Yeah. They don't really explain how. They just essentially, you just do more damage to them, you take less damage, and so on and so forth. But it also has this mechanic where you can run it through as a pacifist run, where only the bosses will attack you on sight, the other enemies won't. But that's kind of all they really have for accessibility settings. Like there's like if they would have had the thing like Celeste, where you could slow down some of the encounters or the gameplay, or maybe you have it like Rogue Legacy 2, I think is the name of the game, where like instead of having to interact with the environment to get around, you can just float. So like I kind of wish that there were accessibility settings to this game, because I think a lot of people will get to Solong, which is the Ori and the Blind Forest kind of fight, and I think they'll opt out. I think that they will not be able to do that. Like, this game is not for people that don't have extremely good like time like a dexterity, you know.
Absolutely. And this is the exact reason I spoke with you and our friend Keith about it. I love Mio. I think it's a brilliant video game, but I will never finish it because, me being a disabled person, one of the things that I occasionally struggle with, and it doesn't affect me in the majority of games because it's not as impactful on me as it is on some other people, is I do have a slight disadvantage in my dexterity. I'm not quite as quick as the average person. In a game like this, that turns the game from playable but difficult into unplayable. And that's the problem, right? Whereas any other game, I'm mostly fine. Like, the last time I ran into this problem was playing Sonic Frontiers, a few years ago. So it's a very rare problem for me. But where it annoyed me even more in this game in particular was, like Jeff just mentioned, we have seen games of this style and type have accessibility options to solve these exact issues. So, where are they? And that kind of, like I said, if I was reviewing this game based on what I have played, which is the first sort of 3 or 4 hours of the game, I would be like, yeah, this probably is in that sort of 8 to 9 range, in my opinion. But then I can't finish it, right? Like, I know that I'm not going to be able to finish it purely because of that one boss fight, which I have seen. I've seen the gameplay of it. Our friend Keith showed me the gameplay.
It's right at the end. Yeah. Like, it's like the third last fight, and like right after that you go into the second last fight, and then you just go right back up to the hub, and then you do the last fight. But that fight is absolutely annoying for that end of it.
And that's exactly why in our review, although we score the game a 7.5 out of 10, which is still a good score on our scale, like it's still a decent score, we do specifically call out that if you need options for accessibility because you have a condition that affects your reaction speed or dexterity, we cannot recommend this game to you on that basis. If you're someone who doesn't need those things, then you absolutely should go and try out this game and play this game, because it's well worth giving a go, because the artistry alone, like, the game is beautiful, the music is brilliant, the gameplay is really interesting. It's a good Metroidvania. It does have a couple of issues, as Jeff has discussed, especially the tremors, from what I understand, are like really annoying.
Well, like, can you imagine, and I bring this up in the review, can you imagine playing Breath of the Wild, and every single time a blood moon hit, Link lost a full health container and could not get it back?
That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Right? Yeah.
Like that's exactly what this is. Like, you go out, you collect 4 of these things, and it builds like a heart, essentially, for your character.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's definitely a weird mechanic, and I'd love to know their reasoning behind having it in there. Like, I would love to ask them that question, because it seems so random to me based on what you've explained and what Keith has also experienced. It is what it is. Mio, I would still, like, on our Open Critic, we would still class this game as a recommend overall. This is a game that we recommend that you play.
It is very good.
But there are definitely issues with it. And again, if you are like me and potentially require accessibility options for reaction speed or dexterity issues, then this game probably isn't going to be playable for you, and certainly you wouldn't be able to get all the way through it, I wouldn't imagine. So just make sure you're doing your research.
Yeah, but it's also very easy to get lost because nothing's really labeled. So when they're like, "Oh, make sure you go back to the Haven," I'm like, I have no idea what that
Yeah. So, but other than that, definitely check it out. It's on Game Pass, as Jeff mentioned. So the barrier to entry is quite low, especially if you have an Xbox or a PC, because you can get Game Pass and try it out. If you like Metroidvanias, I would imagine you're going to like this video game. I would be shocked if you didn't. And very, very impressive. And I'm sure that we will discuss it in some regards in a positive way, also in our end of year awards this year. So we'll see about that. But Jeff, you have played a couple of other things as well. Is there anything else you want to talk about quickly?
If we pick one, which one do you want?
You go with whichever one you're feeling more confident about.
Sure. All right. So go on to the website if you want to read my Ebola Village review. It is a bad game. So I'll talk Filna Fantasy or Filna Fantasy. I don't know how it's pronounced. But basically, you can pick one of 4 classes. You're this person that kind of comes down and becomes like a hero. You join the Adventurers Guild, and then you kind of uncover this corruption and conspiracy that's kind of going around the kingdom. It's a pretty short game. It's about 6 or 7 hours. I'm a bit more than halfway through. And it's a real-time kind of combat game. So it's not turn-based or anything like that. It reminds me of like the kind of like the other pixel kind of games that have real-time combat. Like it looks like that. And it's fun. Like it, I do wish that there was a training area to determine which class you want, because it doesn't really give you much information other than they're the attacker, they're the range, there's the magic, there's the assassin, but they don't really give you much more information on how to make those choices. Like, it doesn't give you examples of how the combat is. So you kind of got to go through, play it, and then determine whether or not you want to start again and pick the character you want. But the combat or the game is pretty fun. Like it visually looks really good. The combat system is really good. I'm playing as the range guy right now, so
nice.
I don't know if you can see it, but I can run around.
Oh yeah.
But it's kind of a charming looking game and stuff, and I've been playing that for a couple hours, and
Nice.
it is really nice. Like it plays really nice. It's got difficulty settings, so you can determine whether or not you're like very weak or very strong against a lot of attacks. But it plays really fun. Like that's one thing I like about it is the combat is super nice. It has a lot of skill tree stuff. So like you'll have like 15 different options that you can apply to 4 different things. So like everyone's kind of play this a little bit differently. The puzzles are really nice. There's a lot of puzzles. Even one that's so simple where it's just like the memory game, and a lot of the puzzles are really nice where you're moving things around and then adjusting, and then you have different abilities like kind of looking almost into like the spiritual realm. So there'll be a gap and you'll use your power, and then also there'll be a spirit little block and then you hop across it and little things like that. But if you're looking for that kind of cutesy JRPG that has real-time combat, it's really fun. Like it is a really, really fun game. The character art is really nice. The storyline is predictable. Like there's nothing like the story itself is fine. There's some translation stuff, localization stuff that doesn't really make much sense. Like it almost like it doesn't use like the past tense in certain areas. So it'll be like you describe what's happening instead of you described what's happening. Like it won't use those things right. There's been little errors and stuff like that, but it's likely a very, very, very small team. But no, it's super fun. I do definitely suggest it on wherever you can kind of play it. I think it's on the majority of everything right now. But once I'm done it, I'll be tossing a review out for it. I've just been in the middle of a few things that are embargoed right now. So.
Yes, as have I, which is why I'm not talking about things I have been playing today. But what I can say as we close out this episode is I will definitely have a review coming to the website this week. So make sure that you are tuned into analogstickgaming.com for that. And I also will have a review coming the following week, actually, as well. So I have a couple of reviews coming up, which is unusual for me. But we have many things. We have many things coming up. Jeff's working on embargoed things right now. I'm working on embargoed things right now. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been checking out the website recently. We really appreciate it. We're trying to kind of improve the website for you. And as you've seen, we've started using tags and things like that. I still will be going back and tagging all of the old reviews as well. But I haven't had time to do that yet because I'm currently working on 2 to 3 different games that are under embargo. so I'm actually quite busy already this year. But yeah, hopefully, you can check us out over on analogstickgaming.com because we have lots of reviews coming your way. And I feel like there might be big news that we post this week as well. So, make sure you check us out for that. Wait and see what that is. But for now, thank you for tuning into this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.